you need to go harder than you've ever gone before. Because if you don't go harder right now than you've ever gone before, that $19,000 is going to be a fluke, and it's going to be the last $19,000 that you ever make in a cycle ever again. This is where you find out what you're truly made of. This is where you find out if you truly have the capacity to go do greater things in your life, or if it was just about $19,000, or if it was just about the money. And so I just want to challenge you to get back in the trenches, get back to work, and go harder right now, or this is going to be the last $19,000 you ever made. And he looks at me and goes, let's go. Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Matthew Welsh, and welcome to the Leaders Only podcast, where we talk about business, leadership, mindset, and it's pretty much anything revolved around building an incredible life. You know, the reason that I started this podcast because I felt like on the way to where we're at now, there wasn't really a place to go learn tangible skill sets, leadership qualities, and mindset strategies that you can learn today, apply today, and get immediate results. And so the goal of this podcast is to teach you the things that you need to actually win, to actually change your life, and to actually grow your business and grow your team if you're someone that's in a leadership role. And so if you can do me a favor, if you ever get something out of our message, if you ever get something out of the content, if you can like, share, subscribe, just tell people about it. We put out all this information for free. And so all we ask is that you share it with a friend if you get something out of it. So with that being said, thank you guys so much, and let's tune in. Let's go. I'm a big mood. You can't name a lot of things that I didn't. Today, what I want to go over is when to challenge people and when to encourage people. Because one thing that I've realized is that as people enter leadership positions, they challenge people at the wrong times and they encourage people at the wrong times. And what this does is it leads to people either resenting them in their business, or it leads to a whole bunch of people getting comfortable because you celebrated them so much that they believe that they've made it, and they stop working and they stop doing the work that they did in order to deserve that recognition in the first place. And so when it comes to leading people, it's important that we challenge people when they're up and we encourage people when they are down. Let me say it again. We challenge people when they're up, when they're winning, when they're succeeding, when they're thriving, when things are good. That's when you challenge people. That's when you push people. That's when you try to pull the absolute best out of somebody. But then when people are struggling and when people are going through a hard time, that's when you encourage them. That's when you love on them. That's when you be there for them. And that's when you come alongside them and help them get out of the hole that they are currently in. Because if someone's down, don't kick them. And that's what most people do, right? All of a sudden, somebody has a bad month in business or a bad quarter in business or a bad year in business, and the person in management and or leadership steps in and tries to get them to start working again. And so they kick them in the butt, or they threaten them, or they do something that's not encouraging and or loving, when at that moment, that's what they need. If they were doing well, they would be doing well. But the fact that they're not doing well is because they're going through something, and you have to be there for them as a leader. And so it might be something personally, it might be something that they're going through in their mindset. And so as a leader, it's important that you come alongside them, help them figure out what it is, and get them through that hard time. And what's powerful about that is that they will love you and respect you as a leader even more than ever before, because you didn't kick them while they were down. You extended a hand and said, hey, let me help you get back up on your feet. Let me help you get back in the game. Let me help you get back to what you're capable of doing by me being there for you and not kicking you while you're down. So just make sure that if you're in leadership right now, you're not kicking people while they're down, you're encouraging them and you're loving on them while they're down. But then on the other side of things is that when people are winning, when people are thriving, when people are killing it in business, that's when you need to challenge them. That's when you need to push them. Yes, celebrate them. Yes, recognize them, but don't recognize them and celebrate them so much that they become comfortable, because that's typically what happens. All of a sudden, someone has a great month or a great quarter and everybody celebrates them and everyone congratulates them and their ego gets inflated. And now all of a sudden they start feeling like they're better than they actually are. And they're like, they've made it and that they're some celebrity because everyone's highlighting them. And at that moment, they need to be humbled. At that moment, you need to push them, because if you don't, they're going to get comfortable, they're going to become stagnant, and their numbers are going to drop, which means that they're going to become this one-hit wonder rather than somebody that's consistently climbing, consistently stacking wins, and consistently after it. So as a leader, it's important to understand when to challenge, when to encourage. And so to give you an idea, I had this gentleman that was in my business years ago, and he's in our business now, and he's absolutely thriving, and I'm so proud of him. But years ago, I remember that he ended up making $19,000 in one day. And so in my industry, we get paid every Tuesday and every Friday, 8 to 9 times a month, 104 times a year. And he was an up and coming leader in the business. And I remember him making $19,000 in one day. And everybody was highlighting him and celebrating him, as they should, because it was a big deal. That was his biggest check yet. And I was so proud of him for it. But I also have a responsibility as a leader to not allow him to get comfortable just because he did better than he's ever done. And so I remember calling him that morning and I said, hey, brother, I'm so proud of you. You just made more money in a month than anyone in your family ever has. You just made more money in a month or in a day than anyone in your family has ever made in a quarter. And I'm so proud of you for that. But if I don't tell you what I'm about to tell you right now, you're going to hate me for it long term. And so I need to have a serious conversation with you if that's okay. He goes, absolutely. I said, if you don't want this to be the last $19,000 you ever make in a cycle, then today you need to get back in the hunt. You need to get back on your grind. You need to get back in the trenches, and you need to go harder than you've ever gone before. Because if you don't go harder right now than you've ever gone before, that $19,000 is going to be a fluke, and it's going to be the last $19,000 that you ever make in a cycle ever again. This is where you find out what you're truly made of. This is where you find out if you truly have the capacity to go do greater things in your life, or if it was just about $19,000, or if it was just about the money. And so I just want to challenge you to get back in the trenches, get back to work, and go harder right now, or this is going to be the last $19,000 you ever make. And he looks at me and goes, thank you. Thank you, because he was on his high horse. He was walking around with all the confidence in the world. And I wanted to make sure that I still instilled confidence in him. But my point is when he had his best cycle ever, it was my job as a leader to challenge him to go even harder, push even harder, or else he's never going to make more than that ever again. And or he was going to get super comfortable. And the next month it was going to drop to the point that now he's back in a hole because he stopped doing the things that led to the success in the first place. And so if you can understand this as a leader, challenge people when they're up, encourage people when they're down, you're going to create an environment of people that love you because you're there for them when they're going through a hard time, but then they respect you because you pull the best out of them when they're winning. I'm not saying don't celebrate people. I'm not saying don't recognize people, but it has to be done in a balanced way, or else you're going to get a whole bunch of people that get comfortable, and that's not good for business. And so guys, if you got something out of today's message, if you can do me a favor, if you can like, share, and subscribe, that'd mean the absolute world to us. Obviously, we put out all this content for free. All we ask is that if you got something out of it, you tell a friend, you share it, you post it, whatever it might be, because it helps us further our mission, which is to help more people. And that's what we're all about. So thank you guys so much. And I will see you guys next week on the Leaders Only Podcast.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it.